Hi everyone, I'm Paula and welcome to my channel Know Your English Grammar. This is part 3 of the 3-part lesson on figures of speech. In part 1, I gave you the definition of a figure of speech and the figures of speech in the groups comparisons and contrasts and contradictions. In part 2, I gave you the figures of speech in the groups exaggeration and sound related. Both of those videos are pinned in the description of this video. In this lesson, which is part 3, I will present to you the figures of speech in the groups play on words, substitutions, human-like qualities, and addressing absent or imaginary entities. Let's start with the figures of speech in the group play on words. Our first figure of speech in this group is called pun. Pun is a play on words, often with a humorous effect. Examples are, I'm reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. The pun in this statement is impossible to put down. It plays on the word anti-gravity. It means that the book was so interesting that I literally could not stop reading it. Like anti-gravity, I could not put it down. Our next example is, I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. The pun here is on the word dough. Dough is what a baker uses to make bread, and dough also refers to money. So this play on word is using dough to refer to money. The baker is saying he couldn't make enough money. Our last example is, a bicycle can't stand on its own because it's too tired. And 2 is TWO, the number 2, referring to the 2 tires that a bicycle has. The pun plays on too tired, TWO, tired, which sounds like too, TOO, tired. So it gives the impression that the bicycle is too, TOO, tired to stand on its own. I hope you got that. 2 TWO tired, which is the 2 tires of the bicycle, and 2 TOO tired, which means the bicycle needs rest. It cannot stand on its own. The next figure of speech that plays on words is irony. Irony is regularly used. It is a situation where what occurs is the opposite of what is expected. For example, the mechanic was caught driving a car that was not roadworthy. Now, a mechanic is expected to ensure that cars are roadworthy. So it is very ironic that he would be caught driving a car that was not roadworthy. This situation highlights the unexpected or contradictory nature of the mechanic's action. His action is the opposite of what is expected of him. Here's another example. The traffic cop got his license suspended for unpaid parking tickets. Now, can you imagine that a traffic cop is getting his license suspended because he didn't pay his parking tickets? In the first place, a traffic cop should not be getting parking tickets because his job involves enforcing traffic laws and regulations. So, getting his license suspended for not paying parking tickets is ironic because it contradicts the expected behavior of someone responsible for upholding traffic law. And our last example. The fire station burned down while the firefighters were out responding to a call. Oh, this is so sad because a fire station is designed to prevent and respond to fires. Burning down while the firefighters are away responding to a call is ironic. It highlights the unexpected and unfortunate situation where the very place meant to deal with fires becomes a victim of fire itself. So, the opposite of what is expected happened. Now let's go to figures of speech of substitutions. And our first figure of speech is called metonymy. Metonymy is the substitution of the name of one thing with something closely associated with it. For example, Agatha Christie is read by many mystery lovers. Agatha Christie is used metonymically to represent her books. It implies that the works of Agatha Christie, rather than the person herself, are what mystery lovers are reading. Here's another example. I swore allegiance to the crown. The crown is a metonymy for the monarchy or the reigning monarch. Swearing allegiance to the crown means pledging loyalty to the ruling authority or the sovereign rather than to an actual physical crown. And our third example is, ackee and saltfish is my favorite dish. Dish is used to represent a meal of ackee and saltfish. So you see, in these examples, something that is closely associated with the subject is being substituted. Agatha Christie is substituted for her books. The crown is substituted for the monarchy. And a dish is substituted for a meal of ackee and saltfish. Our next figure of speech in this group is called Synecdoche. Synecdoche uses a part of something to represent the whole. For example, wow, Tom bought himself a new set of wheels. In this sentence, wheels is used to refer to a car. This is a common usage where a part of the car, the wheels, stands for the entire vehicle. So instead of saying Tom bought himself a new car, we say Tom bought himself a new set of wheels. Our next example is, I can't wait to get back on the waves. In this sentence, waves is used to represent surfing or being out on the water. The waves are a prominent feature of this activity, so they stand in for the entire experience of being out on the water and engaging in that activity. And our last example is, the captain commanded a fleet of 50 sails. Sails represent the ships. By referring to the ships as sails, the sentence highlights the most prominent feature of a sailing ship. This use of the part sails to stand in for the whole ships is a classic example of synecdoche. Our next figure of speech is euphemism. Euphemism is a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one that is considered to be harsh or blunt. So, for example, instead of saying someone died, we may say she passed away. Sally's mom passed away last year. It's a bit milder than saying she died. Another popular euphemism that is used is to say someone was let go from his job instead of saying he was fired or will be fired. John's supervisor said, if you do not change your behavior, I'm going to let you go. This is a mild way of saying I'm going to fire you. And here's another popular one, to spin the truth. He likes to spin the truth. This is a very mild way of saying someone is a liar. In our everyday life, there are many euphemisms that we use on a daily basis, such as saying, I'm running a little behind, which means I'm late, or someone is on the streets, instead of saying someone is homeless. If you would like me to do a video on some of the popular euphemisms, please let me know in the comments section. Our next figure of speech is personification, and this is a figure of speech that portrays human-like qualities. So personification is to assign human characteristics to non-human things. For example, the wind whispered through the trees. In this sentence, the wind is given the human ability to whisper, suggesting a gentle, soft movement of the wind through the trees. Our next example. As the storm raged outside, the old house groaned and sighed. The house groaned and sighed is attributing human actions to describe the noises made by the house during the storm. This adds a sense of the house reacting to the storm as if it were alive. And our last example. The city never sleeps. It's always bustling with energy. In this sentence, the city is personified by saying it never sleeps and is always bustling with energy. These are human attributes given to the city, implying that it is constantly active and lively, similar to a person who is always awake and energetic. And our last figure of speech is the apostrophe. Now, we know of the apostrophe as a punctuation mark. But what do you know of the apostrophe as a figure of speech? We use an apostrophe as a figure of speech when a character addresses an absent person, an abstract idea, or an inanimate object. In other words, it's speaking to someone or something that cannot respond to you. The apostrophe as a figure of speech is mainly used poetically in movies and plays. For example, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." This is a famous nursery rhyme that depicts a little girl having a conversation with a star. Our second example is from the popular TV show Friends, and it shows an actor speaking to a door. "I'm funny, right? What do you know? You're a door." And our next example is a scene from the popular movie Romeo and Juliet, in which Juliet is standing on a balcony talking to Romeo, who is not present. "O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" So that's using the figure of speech called the apostrophe. And now we have come to the end of this lesson. I hope you found it useful. Please ensure that you watch parts 1 and 2 of this lesson. They are pinned in the description of this video. And if you have not as yet subscribed to my channel, may I ask you to do so now? And please turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss any of my lessons. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.